my name is Aeolus, aka your favorite atheist. If you're interested in atheism-related videos, especially satirical ones, come visit my channel right here. I'll be waiting.
That's right. The United States of America is a Christian nation. Well, at least in the sense that the majority of its citizens are and always have been of the Christian faith. But that's not what people mean when they say that America is a Christian nation. What they mean, of course, is that our government is based upon biblical principles, and perhaps even that our Constitution was founded upon the Bible, and that many of our forefathers were very much Christian and used their Judeo-Christian beliefs and heritage to design our new found nation. But the simple fact of the matter is that the government of the United States has always been secular since its inception. In fact, the very first amendment to our founding document, the Constitution, guarantees freedom of religion. It simply doesn't make any sense that a country which would be founded upon a specific religion would, as one of its very first acts, allow all of its citizens to practice whatever religion they choose. Now, first, let's dispel some myths here and figure out what exactly the case is. We'll start with the Founding Fathers because, of course, they always get brought into the conversation, usually straight off the bat. Now, many of the Founding Fathers were, in fact, religious, but many of them were men of the Enlightenment who eschewed traditional religious dogma and the church, and instead developed their own ideas of spirituality. Many of them were deists, and most of them supported keeping the church and state separate. And the reason they supported this was because of their experience with the church state of England. In England in those days, the church was the state and the state was the church. In fact, the original settlers in what became America left England in order to be able to practice their religion the way that they wanted without any interference from the government. Now, beyond the Constitution, another important document to cite is the Treaty of Tripoli. This was a document that was signed by President John Adams in the early 1800s, and it contains the phrase, "The United States of America is not in any sense founded upon the Christian religion." Now, let's keep in mind here that this document was, as I mentioned, signed by the President of the United States and passed by Congress. There's theists and Christians who want to debate exactly what this document means, what its intentions were, and, if that phrase even exists in the Arabic version that was sent to be signed and ratified. But it's pretty clear that they would not have included such phraseology unless it was true. I mean, could you even imagine today any such document with any such wording ever being signed into law and passed by Congress? I mean, it just would never happen. So the fact that it was passed regardless of the intentions says a lot. If they would go to all that length just to, try to appease their potential enemies, that they're not going to have any motives based upon their religion, that's just pretty far-fetched. Now, there's little doubt in my mind that many of the Founding Fathers, having been men of the Enlightenment, as I mentioned, and who espoused progressive views for their time, would be non-believers today. They lived 250 years ago, before the implementation of the modern scientific method, before evolution, before genetics, computers, telescopes, and all of the other advances we made since that time. Atheism in their day was simply rare not only because of tradition and social constraints, but because there wasn't nearly as much evidence to argue against God belief. I have little doubt that if they were living today, that many of them would be non-believers. But really the bottom line here is that we have to look at the founding documents of our country to determine what the vision was for religion's role in government. We can quote mine the founding fathers all day, but the fact is that their individual opinions are just as irrelevant as the religious opinions of politicians today with respect to the government. Arguing from tradition is a fallacy anyways, and to claim that something is right or just simply because that's just the way we've always done it is not sound logic. Even if the United States were founded as a Christian nation, that's not an argument for continuing on in the same manner. Now, a few other more contemporary arguments for the Christianity of our nation include the Supreme Court building. For example, Christians will also cite the fact that Moses is included as part of the sculpture, the artwork on the outside of the building, and that the Ten Commandments are referenced inside the building. Now, the Supreme Court building was constructed beginning in 1931. And yes, it does have a depiction of Moses on the outside, but that same depiction also includes various other philosophers and historical lawgivers, including Charlemagne, Napoleon, Confucius, and even Muhammad, among others. And only the second tablet of the Ten Commandments being held by Moses has words visible on it. And the reason for this is because the second half of the Ten Commandments is considered to be the more secular commandments, no commands to obey God or anything like that. Now, as far as the Ten Commandments being present inside the chambers of the courts, actually what that is it's the Roman numerals 1 through 10, and that does not refer to the Ten Commandments. It actually refers to the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. So that's just simply a misconception. Another argument oft trotted out is the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, the pledge says one nation under God. Of course we're a Christian, God-fearing nation. Well, the problem with that is that the pledge was originally written by a socialist to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Columbus discovering America for the purpose of selling flags. The original pledge made no reference to the United States or to God. And the phrase under God was added in the 1950s as propaganda against godless communism during the Cold War. So using this as an argument is simply fallacious. Another argument is that the fact that "In God We Trust" appears on our currency and is our national motto. Now, our national motto was also changed during the 1950s anti-communist era. It replaced the original far more apt motto of "E pluribus unum," meaning "from many one." Legal challenges to this phrase have since thus far failed because the courts have ruled that God refers to only a creator figure and not a specific deity. I obviously find this irrelevant because the so-called national motto completely disregards atheists and polytheists, even under that interpretation. Plus, we all know what is really meant to when they refer to God, the God of the Bible. However, even the courts have ruled that this is not the case, so to cite it as evidence of a Christian heritage is foolish. Because if you want to go ahead and argue in front of the courts that it's evidence of Christian heritage, by all means, please do so. And then we'll get that motto struck down and we can return to a more all-inclusive motto that represents all Americans. Throughout our history, Christianity has been used to justify slavery, misogyny, and oppression of women, racism, and opposition to marriage equality, among others. And the Constitution was victorious over all of these. So it is quite clear and apparent that our Constitution trumps the Bible when it comes to matters of our government and how we make decisions in this country. In the end, simply taking a common sense approach to the topic is the best method. If we have freedom of religion, it only makes sense that the government would refrain from taking any position on religion, even showing preference for God belief over non-belief. We can all believe and practice what we want, and the government just minds its own business and remains apathetic to the topic. Secular does not mean atheistic. It means that the government has no interest in the topic of religion, and that is clearly what our government was founded upon. If you doubt this, I have an open challenge for anyone who wishes to take it. Name me one facet of the government of the United States which is original and unique to the Bible or Christianity.